Hello everyone, welcome to week 47 of this daily / weekly race guide for GT Sport. And as you can see in the background is Autopolis. And this week's a bit of a weird one, to be honest, but let's talk about race A first of all and the race details then. We're racing full laps here at Autopolis. It's a grid start and we are on racing hard tyres, which does mean we're in racing cars, which you can see in the background. It's FF sessions again. It's only FF cars, they are provided for you. So while everyone might complain about FFs, that's the only choice you have. So we went with the Peugeot because that was top of the leaderboard at the time. Let's jump to the race then. I'll talk you through some tips and tricks and also a lap guide as per usual. Here we are then on the grid. On the left, the Audi TTs with a couple of Peugeots. And on the right, a line of Peugeots. Seemed very fitting, to be honest. Which I was in an Audi, to be honest, to really fit that line out with an imposter Peugeot in there. But even so, it's the grid start here. So traction control, obviously, front wheel drive. The wheels are doing everything. So traction control all on here. And you're about to see that really work here. As you heard it bog down, then I turned it off just before the changing gear. And off we go. So actually going to make a move already on the Spaniard on the left here, which is all well and good. Heading towards turn 1 then, and in towards the braking zone we go. A little bit sketchy in the lower lobbies, I suspect, on that first corner, because everyone's going to want to dive in if somebody hasn't got traction control on, or has made just a bad start. You just got to be careful there, okay? So being on the inside is actually better. Going to continue racing here. Little bit tough, I found this race, because everyone's braking points seem really weird and awkward, to be honest with you. As we look to overtake the Israeli here, who decides to try and outbrake me for reasons unknown to science, but even so, we carry on all the same, and let's see what we can do here. Heading towards the left then, slight left. Now, this track is all about carrying speed there. That was a bit opportunistic of me, really, but nobody got anything, no penalties and that good stuff. So we carry on. So yeah, actually you're about to see somebody absolutely disappear. See you, mate. Jandorero. Sorry, making a song out of his name, but yeah, off he went to Narnia. So yeah, you've just got to be a little bit careful. Penalties, you see Svetlio there. To have a huge penalty as we then head towards the right. Maybe he was involved in that hairpin incident. We saw somebody in the barriers at Narnia. But this Israeli here, I was really struggling to get by. Different braking zones, the momentum was not being carried, so I kept nearly rear-ending him and having to slam on very, very quickly, or her, as we come through here now. And Danny Cat was following me through as well, as we come through. You can see how I'm just trying to balance the car, the throttle, trying to avoid that wheel spin. So we then looked at this right-hander. So I looked on the inside, there wasn't really room. I then looked again, no real room, and I looked at that piece of tarmac I always talk about. That's your accelerating marker. You see that? You put your foot down and you should survive. Just in an FF car, because it understeers Narnia, obviously. Going to head down towards turn 1 then. We've got a really good run now on the Israeli. So where's the Israeli going to go? He's going to go to the left. We're going to go to the right. But track guide as well. Orange dab on the left. I brake just after that normally. Obviously, I'm on the inside line here, so I'm actually going to use that this time. But that's the marker here for turn 1, so use that. The guy on the left tries to outbrake me once again and absolutely launches it down into Broffi there, which is a bit annoying to see, but look! Like, literally, a penalty system that worked for a change. It doesn't normally work, obviously. But we then have this bit of tarmac here for this next turn. That's where I brake just after that, really, in these FF cars. They're very good on the brakes. But yeah, penalty system that worked there. But I know it's not working at the moment, folks. It's just randomly 1 in a million. One was actually right here, but we continue on anyway towards this hairpin. Now you can use a white van man on the right side. He's back, the white van man. He was in an ambulance the other week. He's now back in a white van. He's there on the right hand side. Use that as your marker. I just straighten up really. I dropped to second gear, and then I really want to short shift to third quite early, just because of the wheel spin really. Obviously, if you're straight, try and abuse the top end power, but if you're not, just short shift. Now come through here, it's just a light lift here, bouncing the throttle. You might want to dab the brake a tiny bit, don't do anything major though, as we then head up to this sharp left-hander. So I struggled for a braking mark here, so I just started using the board basically there on the right hand side. That's what I was using. I broke a little bit early here because I'm in the middle of the road. I wasn't sure what the Audi was going to do in front of me, but that sign, the one with the arrow on, that's the one I am using there. And I'm braking on that or just after it. As you see, Stiganator's gone off here, and the Israeli's just gone a bit deep as well. So I think, okay, excellent, we're going to get this. Penalty to my right. We carry on. Now, everybody knows the marker for this one. Nice and easy on the right hand side. That pole there. I still have no idea what it is. It could be a TV camera pole. I don't know, but there's some ladders to it. That's what I'm using. Basically, just dab the brake, drop to fourth, really try and abuse that curb. Be careful on the exit. If your rear tyre's on the left when you turn next, it'll cause a bit of oversteer. But you notice how I'm just balancing the throttle now. I'm in fourth gear, the throttle's just going up and down. So the key thing with FF cars as well is if you brake, or key thing with any car really, if you brake, you're obviously trying to get the correct input, but more than likely you might be off by 1 or 2%. So if you don't have to brake, you get rid of that whole problem when you're just balancing the throttle. So that's what I try and do in FF cars. As we come through here, no real braking, a dab of the brake there, and then, as I always say, that piece of tarmac, literally when you see that, go on the throttle, off you go. It's short shifty, you're about to understeer off to Narnia, but use that as your reference to accelerate as we come round then. And yeah, that's the end of the race basically. It wasn't an exciting race by any means. Everyone was a bit all over the place, to be honest. It's not a race I would particularly do. I don't recommend it either, to be honest with you. So yeah, race A done and dusted, nice and quick there. Let's head to race B then, where it gets a little bit more interesting. Welcome to Autopolis then, and as you can see in the background, it's Group 3 machinery. Let's have a look at the race details then. We are racing 4 laps here at Lego Maggiore. It's a full circuit as well. It's a rolling start. It's a nice and easy start, although it appears that some cars have a bit of an advantage going down the hill at the very back, and we are on racing hard tyres. So I chose the FT1. It was the top of the leaderboards. Probably not my choice for the race, to be honest. Struggles to overtake cars, as we'll demonstrate as we jump to that race now. So I'm going to show you the start of my first race, because I did it twice, and then we'll look at the proper race, because the first race is a little bit interesting. Here we go then with the first race. I'm not going to show you the grid for this one, because I'm just showing you what happens, because it was very frustrating this. Obviously I try and do this as efficiently as possible, because I start in the afternoon. So this video has got like a set time frame to get out basically for you guys. But anyway, going into turn 1, the GT absolutely launches it up the inside there. And then we just get tagged by the Beetle, who did apologise afterwards. And if you looked at the radar, basically I think they clipped the grass under brake and it just fired them into me. However, what wasn't very nice was when I caught up to everybody and started overtaking people again, as you do. And you can see I'm in P13 at this point. So, you know, I'd caught up a serious amount of time, fastest lap of the race. You see that blue Supra in the distance over there? Well, that's the driver in question here. So we're going to go for a run on the GTR as they run wide in the old brickaroo. So down the inside here. And job's a good one. So as we go into left here, the Italian is going fine there. Decides to completely close the door off there, and yeah, not the greatest in the world, to be honest. I was quite frustrated with that. I was just like, why would you do that? Anyway, let's get to a proper race now. I decided to go again, and here we are with a proper race. So most people are in the Supra, and that's because that has a bit more top end, obviously, a bit more power in it. But Group 3 is always, you know, bring what you like, really. I mean, you're going to see in this race we have a good race with various manufacturers. So, you know, bring what you like. Enjoy Group 3 while it's on. I love GT3 personally, so it's great when it's on because I can pick what I like. But anyway, we're going to kick off the race. We're going to start straight away with a track guide as well, just for you folks. But look behind. This Porsche gets an absolute launch and a half. No idea how Roger did that. But even so, we're going to head towards turn 1, and on the left-hand side, you're going to pick out that lovely van on the left-hand side. Yes, we're using vans for days this week. That van is your brake marker. It's always the brake marker here, folks, by the way, so always pick it out. It's a very good marker. Anyway, we've got a bit of a good race here with the Porsche. On the right side, make sure you're not braking after that white, at the end of that white bit there on the grass. You're braking before that. Obviously, different GT3 cars, different lines into this turn will vary where you brake. That's the marker you want to use there. So going through here, happy days, no problem. Accelerate away, and then you're going to lift a little bit, really, to try and get your car on that curb. Try and get round to left as best as you can, because on the right side, you see the orange and green dark barrier sort of thing. Where it changes colour there, that is your marker. You want to brake early and really try and clip the inside curb here if you can. We just miss it there. We'll try and straighten the car up as best as you can. You can have it a little bit wide there. Just be careful of dirty tyres as well. As we head down here then, in towards the right-hander here. Now, I was actually braking a little bit early because I was using this here. It's the end of that I was using, so you might want to brake just after that and start coming down the gears. Don't be too far to the left, of course, because you will get sucked off to Narnia there, but in towards the right we go. Clip the curb, happy days, up the hill, accelerating forward. So obviously you're going to come towards the right side now, And you're going to look on the curb and there's going to be this big black tyre mark there. So you're going to use that as your marker here. It's a very good marker. You're basically going to brake and you really want to abuse the inside of the left coming up here. It really drags you around a little bit. As you see here, I abuse it quite a lot. And then the more you abuse this right, the easier this left is coming up. So you can risk it with penalties and really abuse it, and you can get a faster lap by doing that. But the problem is the penalties, because obviously you will get one if you abuse it too much. I talked about this in reverse, but you know, going forward the same way, the more you can abuse it, the better the line. Anyway, heading down towards this banked hairpin now. On the left hand side, we have the flag marker. It's what I use as a norm here. There's quite a few you can use here. I do have a full track guide of this, very detailed track guide, which will be in the description of this whole circuit, where every single marker that you could possibly want to use is on here. But now we've got a bit of a race in our hands. We've got the Lamborghini on the left and the Toyota on the right hand side here. We've got no real place to go here, so we've just had to, you know, get out of it basically, as then we head towards this right-hander. Now I couldn't actually pull out the marker here, but basically there's a little bit of darkness on the curb, or you could use the shadow as well on the left there. But as we come to this right-hander here, you're going to use the end of the curb basically. You should be turning before that end of the curb finishes, and the goal again is to really get your tyre on the inside of these curbs to drag the car around a little bit. It generates a beautiful line then for the exit because you can straight line it. But now we're going to head towards the last corner, and again you really want to cut this one as well. So I use the end of the curb as my reference. You can see I'm braking before that here, but as I say, that's just a reference, so you use that accordingly. Judge based on that marker. So brake, I'm going to chuck it in. I've gone a little bit deep there actually, and I should have come in a little bit earlier there. That's just dirty air having an impact as well. So now we're going to get into the race here. So the Lamborghini, you can see how powerful it is versus the FT1. Really jumps ahead of the FT1, but goes a little bit deep here, so the Frenchman keeps that position. We try to go around the outside of the Lamborghini, not going to work out here at all. You see Snowflakes get a penalty. Hopefully not being too much of a snowflake about that penalty, but we'll see. And a shout out to you. I know you said the driving school's helped you out massively. So if you are struggling with driving, folks, driving school videos, they are there for everybody. You see we get a run alongside the Lamborghini here. Not going to work. Hugely fast that Lamborghini in the straight line, so we have to pull in behind once again. And we're just trying to stay on the inside here, get a good run through the corner. You can see that here. We do get a good run, and this is beautiful driving from the Italian. He just saw me on his radar. Perfect driving, Samfish. So shout out to you, or Samf, sorry, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. As we then go for an abusive cut there, works wonders, and then you can see how it generates a better line versus what the Lamborghini did. Straight off the bat, it gives us a good run, but unfortunately, we don't have the speed. Come on FT1, get past. But it looks like it's not going to happen for now, so we're going to end up pulling back in here, are we? Oh no, we're going for it. We are going for it into the braking zone. Gives me room there. Beautiful driving from this Italian. Giving room on the exit there, so he's going to have a good run up the hill. And yeah, unfortunately that is going to be the Italians again for now. Brilliant racing here. So you can have some good racing. It's just very hard to overtake at this circuit. It really is. So let's see what the Italian does here. We go for the move down the inside again. Stopping it on the curb. Again, beautiful awareness here. Absolutely brilliant driving. And then in towards the right again. Not going to happen. Good run around the outside there by the Italian as we continue on now down towards this last corner. Looking. Just come off the brake early. Not sure where they're going to brake. And they unfortunately go too deep here. So we're going to steal that position. But a brilliant race there with that Italian driver. Superb stuff. That's the kind of racing I like. As we catch up to the Irishman now. Cool late 4 breeze. So you can see we try and abuse the corner a little bit too much there, and we get that 0.5 penalty. That's what I'm talking about. You know, you can keep trying to abuse it as much as you can, but eventually it will bite back with that penalty. So the Irishman goes towards the right. We're going to go towards the left, of course, and we're going to see if we can do some form of cutback. And let's see what happens then. In we go. Try and go for the run. Not quite there. The car felt a little bit unstable. Had to lift a tiny bit as we continue on up the hill. Look how close we are. You can't really get anything in between there. Never mind a car. You can't get a person in between that gap. As we continue now towards the right again, going defensive here. So I'm going to try around the outside. Not a place to overtake really around the outside because it's just too long of a corner. So the Irishman keeps position for now. Let's try again. Nope, not yet. So you can see how overtaking is very difficult here. You know, 4 laps is not a lot of time to really get the moves done and dusted. So you will need a good qualifying time here as through the left we go. And this is the main place to overtake, actually, coming up to turn number 1. So the Irishman's going to go defensive here, so I'm going to try and go around the outside. And this is a valid overtaking attempt or move that you can do. You just have to hope that they are a clean driver. Unfortunately for me, Cool84 Breeze, a clean driver. So obviously you go for the overrun to make sure you just plant your car there, so then you're on the inside for the hairpin. That's the whole goal with that move. And as I say, it's very risky. You have to have a clean driver who is cooperative with that. And as I say, Cool84 Breeze, you know, shout out to you as well for some brilliant driving. That's some good drivers in this one. It really was a fun race. Even though you can't really overtake, it was good that I could have some racing action here. So we're just going to fast forward a little bit now. As we go through the lefts and rights of the middle sector in towards the hairpin. So Cool84 Breeze goes a little bit deep here. We're going to have a better run off that corner. So goes towards the left as expected. And I think actually Cool84 Breeze is a little bit too clean here. Could have carried the momentum there and kept that position, I think. So I continue on, and I sort of half leave the door open here, just in case he does go for it. And in we go. So he does literally try and have a sneaky little look. It doesn't quite work out, and then obviously we've got it lovely in turn for the next one. That's how what I was talking about earlier on in the track guide with that right-hander. If you nail it beautifully, it's a good clean run through there. As we head towards the last corner, then again I got a little bit. I thought I went a little bit deep there, tiny bit maybe. We're going to head towards the line. That's going to be end of race B then. So I think you can have some good races, but I think you will have some terrible races here as well. It's sort of like a race. But we're going to go to race C now, where I believe you're going to have the best races of the week this week, because I think it's brilliant. Welcome to Suzuka then for this race. We are in the Mazda MX-5s, which is why it's a good race in my opinion. Let's look at the race details then first of all. We are racing 8 laps here then at Suzuka. It's a grid start with the false start check, so be careful about accelerating off there. I use the handbrake as a little bit of a tip. And we are on sports hard tyres. Fuel and tyre wear doesn't really matter, but it's times 4 and times 16 respectively. You're not stopping in this race. It's a sprint race from start to finish. I say we're in the MX-5s, which does mean there should be some good racing here, because the slower the car, the closer the racing. That's how it works in Gran Turismo or any sim racing, in fact, because they're easier to control. You've got more time to think, and people can judge accordingly. So, is it a good race? It is. Let's jump to it now, and I'll talk you through it as well as a lap guide. Here we are then at the start of the grid. Looks good, this grid, doesn't it? This looks like a proper Gran Turismo race. Actually, it looks quite realistic, because obviously the MX-5s are used all over the place in terms of racing as well. It's a good little car to use. As you see, we are revving the nuts out of it. Burn that fuel away. You're going to contribute to the greenhouse effect, of course. So I hold the handbrake here. That's the best one for me. Traction control on one as well, but don't worry about that. You don't need traction control. Just focus on the handbrake and then release it when you believe you are going to set off here. As you saw, traction control not needed. I just did that just to make sure. We're going to head towards turn 1 now. Now, because these cars are slower than normal, basically we should have clean turn 1s here, and we do. It's actually a fairly clean turn 1. You can see everybody giving each other space. It's actually kind of nice. Now, some people will outbrake themselves. It's just a factor of life. As you just see, there's a tiny tag there on the Greek driver. There you go around, and we continue on. But we're going to have a brilliant side-by-side moment now with Joker Man as we come through the S's here at Suzuka. This is awesome racing, this. Shout out to you, Joker Man, for this. Because literally, it's just side-by-side throughout. It's clean racing. It's brilliant racing. And this is what the MX-5s, to me, promote. And this is why I think it's a good race this week. Because you really can have these side-by-sides in corners you wouldn't normally have it. And you'll see that later on as well. I have some side-by-sides in places I've never had side-by-sides at Suzuka before. But here we have it. Anyway, we're down to P16 at the moment. Just trying to avoid any form of penalty that could happen. As you see, a couple of people going down for moves at Tidgney too, which is unusual. Somebody tries it on me as well, as I just backed out of that just to be safe. But unfortunately, they don't get that done. But again, clean attempt there by Fred behind the Frenchman as we then head towards the left, the hairpin here as we are sticking to the inside. Fred tries to go around the outside. 4-second penalty there. I wonder what that's for. Oh, that'll be for the little tag on the Greek, I imagine, actually, from Fred. I'd say it's always a mistake, that. So maybe the penalty systems work twice in this video. Is that even possible? That's like 1 in a million anyway. We've just done like 1 in a million twice. Maybe I should put the lottery on here. I don't know. But you can see they're going to take their 4-second penalty. We're going to have a run on the finish driver here. Technically my teammate, according to the colours. But Pulsey goes to the left. We're going to go to the right here. Now, believe it or not, even Tidgney, sorry, 130R, sorry, is a place you can go side by side here quite easily as well. You see that here. I mean, we gave each other a bit too much space, to be honest, because I ran a little bit wide. So Pulsu, sorry, keeps that position for now. As I started to look there, but I decided not to. Pulsu releases the brakes a little bit, I think, to try and make sure I don't go for that. So that was a little bit of a mistake, because that gives me a good run on Pulsu. And Bopyo there has just had a bit of a mistake as well. Shout out to you, Bopyo. As we head now down towards turn number 1. We're 3 wide, which is normally a very scary thought, to be honest. But so far in this race, it's been brilliant racing. So I kind of wasn't that scared. It's weird. It's a weird feeling when you're actually having a good race. So we go into turn 1. All fine. Looks like somebody's lost it there. He's like, oh, it's Ron GT Hake. Sorry to see that, mate. Really am sorry to see that. As we come through the corner. So we're in P13. But look how quickly I catch up to this pack now. Because now I'm maintaining my normal race speed. Look how fast we are catching here. That gap is just dropping. Look at that. It's like nearly a second in like 3 corners. And now I'm on the back of them very, very quickly. That's how quick it is. So obviously if you're in a group, you're going to lose a lot of time. Which is why I played it safe at the start as well. I kind of anticipated this. As we continue through the left there. There's hardly any braking as well in that section. It's kind of funny really. But you're seeing some fantastic close racing here. This is what I love about this race. I think it's awesome. I'm going to be doing some more of these this week. This is brilliant stuff. But look at this. I actually go for a move at Tidgney too. I would only advise against it, but it's possible in these cars because they're slow enough that you can anticipate what they're going to do. I mean, I've talked about it before, you know, with James May and stuff, where you predict. If you can predict what the car can do, you can already act to it. And because these cars are very predictable, people can drive them better. And it gives better racing. So we're going to have a run on La Creature here as we sort of do a dummy a little bit. I was hoping to get a bit of slipstream off Jokerman. Not quite worked. So the Creature goes defensive here, but just outbrakes a little bit too much. Oh, hello darkness, my old friend. Oh dear. It's good to have a race. There's a little funny joke afterwards as well. And a shout out to you as we come through now these S's once again. And we just catch up to CCC James 1301 here. So at this moment, I'm just trying to think of a way to overtake. So taking different lines here, just to, you know, give me a better line on the last part, which is my whole goal here. I knew this was going to happen. So I was hoping to get a nice, lovely run through the left. But I just get a little bit of a run. And is it going to work? We're sort of alongside. So it gives me room here. But unfortunately, Tidgney 1 around the outside is not the best place to be. So I just back out of it, essentially. And we'll go for it elsewhere, of course. This race felt really long, by the way. I have no idea why it felt so long, but it just did. Oh, who's that off in the barrier? That's, who's that? Pudelli. Sorry, I'm reading these names completely wrong. It's slightly smaller on my screen this time as we head towards the left. So I was going to go around the outside, but I thought, okay, let's try and get a good run out the corner. You see a little bit of OC there from James. It's going to compromise him a little bit, but not enough for me to make a move here. It's got the slipstream of Jokerman in front, but I hope you're enjoying this because, as I say, I enjoyed this race. I really did, and we should see some fantastic liveries on these cars as we go through the week as well. As we head towards the left then, just having a little sneaky look, pull back in. It's not really the place, we weren't alongside enough, but James fell for it. So he runs wide at Spoon, the place you don't want to run wide at, and off James went. So up to P8, happy days. Jokerman next on the hit list. Now we had a cracking race earlier on with Jokerman through the S's side by side consistently, but Jokerman decides to whack on his old indicator there, which signals me to go, and I actually was like, no. I actually said this while I was racing. I was like, no, you don't have to do this, Jokerman. We can have a good race here. But he lets me go. Obviously wants to go further up the grid, believes that I can take him there, so lets me go, and let's see what we can do heading towards P6. We are going to go into the track guide now, of course. So on the left hand side, it's the one I always use, but in these MX-5s, you're always going to brake a little bit after these markers. So that's your marker. Brake a little bit after for the perfect lap. Brake a little bit before if you're struggling a little bit at any point. But that's my marker, all the same as we then come through. And you saw I just trail braked through the corner. I stay in third gear. That if I go to second, the rear's going to get a bit unstable. Same for the left and right here now. Basically, you don't want to drop a gear. Stay in third gear, let the car stay balanced, and it allows you to control what the car's going to do then with just a throttle. You see I'm taking different lines here, and then coming into here, I have to dab the brake a little bit to make sure I don't hit the Belgium driver in front of me as we go in towards the left then. And again, I'm just trying to get a different run, and you notice you can do that flat. So there's no markers there at all, as we see Pablito in, well, it's Binton on here again, obviously. Lito's obviously been to on him before on these guides. So head towards the right then. On the left-hand side at Tidgney number 1, you got the 50-meter board. That's what I use here. You actually want to be in 4th gear. I dropped to 3rd gear here because I'm on the outside at Tidgney 1, so I'm trying to just, you know, pull back in. But the Belgian driver decides to go fly. Go flying out of the end of the curb for Tidgney 2. Tidgney 2 is a little bit more tricky in terms of gear selection. So 3rd gear if you're on the perfect lap and you can maintain the speed. 2nd gear if you can't. Now it's a bit too slow through there, so Jokerman's going to have a good run on me here potentially. No, not quite. But really it's 3rd gear unless you can't do it fast enough, then it's 2nd. So just be careful of that. Heading towards the hairpin, you got that photographer on the right side taking absolutely awesome pictures of your car. That's who your brake marker is, so he's flagging you down there. He's cheating for you. How about that? And you want to be in 2nd gear here for the hairpin. You're trying to want to avoid oversteer as much as possible on the exit and just accelerate through that. So straighten up as much as you can. You know, as you leave the corner, basically, you aim for that exit curve. It's very worthwhile doing. Head towards Spoon then, and you have a nice little breather here. So this is what I mean about this car and this combo. You've got a lot of time to think, which allows better driving and better racing from everybody. Head towards Spoon then, the piece of tarmac on the right. We always use that piece of tarmac. It's nice and easy. Brake just after it's past you, basically. That's the best way to do this corner. And literally drop to 3rd gear. And you sort of just undab the brakes a little bit here. And then obviously my marker is always the end of the curb. I turn slightly earlier than normal here for this one. But again, I'm staying in 3rd. I'm trying to keep the car as balanced as possible here. I'm not braking 100%. Just let the car roll if I can let it roll. And through we go. Then you see a big penalty up in the distance. Let's see if we can catch the driver up ahead here. Fatum it is. And you can see they've obviously lost a lot of speed here. So I'm going to go for this. We've got a huge run on the driver as we head towards 130R. As it 130R, you can do flat. Not a problem really. Sometimes it's a bit scary. I have to lift here because I was on the inside a little bit. But you can do it flat. So it's well worth practicing that because you will gain time there. And then heading towards the Casio triangle on the right hand side where that yellow line starts to be created there. Basically that's where my brake marker is. I always use that. It's something that can't get wiped out. And if you're going for an overtaking move, you can see it as well. So it's that kind of nice and easy. So don't cut too much to the first part. Cut low to the second part. You're allowed to do that. And then you leave the corner. Happy days. Right, we're going to advance quite far ahead now. We're going to catch up to sponsor for ETA there. And so this is the 5P3. So you see I've got the run here. He sort of leaves the gap open on the right side. So I go for it. And he starts to close it. And I was fine. Then I start turning left here because I was like, no. You're not putting me in the barrier. So maybe he didn't realise, I don't know. But then they give up that position anyway. And then in towards the turn we go. So we actually get that nailed in the end. But yeah, I was a little bit scared there. I've got to be honest. A little bit scared. We advanced towards the end then. Not much happened. I did try and catch up. We were putting in the time. You can see we've got the fastest lap on the left. Plenty more time in that lap, of course. But yeah, race C. Happy days with that one. Absolute happy days. Now, the first stream I saw scheduled for today was Super GT. So Super GT is on the stream right now. Go check him out. I'm sure you're all subscribed to him anyway. Another video on the screen if you want to have a look at that one. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. Please do like the video if you did like it. Share it with your friends if you want to help people out. But that's going to be it for me now, folks. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in another video live stream very soon.